everybody, welcome to this episode of Mismatched. So June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and while we often talk about the importance of checking in on ourselves, today we're talking about the people that we love and the signs we might be missing. My guest today is someone whose life changed forever after losing her twin brother, Tushar, to suicide in 2016, almost 10 years ago. Same birthday, same childhood, and same family. Despite seeing him regularly, she had no idea what he was carrying. That loss led to a decade-long journey to better understand men's mental health, men's grief, resilience, and what it means to support someone who's struggling, who you know is struggling and who might have no idea is struggling. Today, she's a mental health speaker, best-selling author, and founder of the nonprofit Reach Out Together, and has trained thousands of people in mental health first aid around the world. Today, we're having a conversation every woman needs to hear about the fathers, brothers, sons, partners, and friends in our lives and how we can take care of them. Please welcome Aanchal Vash. Hi, Aanchal.
Hi, Nicole. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you for being with me today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for hosting this and bringing people together and have these important conversations.
This is a really important conversation, and it's so interesting because it's a topic that has sort of filtered into this podcast here and there, but we really haven't honed in on it, and due in part that I haven't felt like I've found the right person to really dive into it with. And so I'm especially happy that you're here to talk about it today, because not only do you have the education to back it, but you've experienced it. And those are two really unique perspectives to share with people. So I just want to ask if you can share your story and what kind of guy your brother was.
Thank you for asking. I grew up in Nigeria. I'm Indian, raised in Nigeria for 17 years, and I moved to Canada to study at University of Toronto with my twin brother. And my twin was a very charismatic person. You know, he's the kind of individual, like, if you're around him, you will leave with laughter, feeling good about yourself. Mm-hmm. And no one ever imagined that a person like that, you know, that high achieving individual that's working at a bank, who's constantly overdoing his targets, you know, just reaching for more, was silently struggling. And at that time, when he passed away 10 years ago, we were 24 years old. And so I didn't know that these certain behavior traits are high risk or medium risk. Like, at that time, I wasn't aware. And so right away, I went and got mental health first aid certified with the Mental Health Commission of Canada. And as I was sitting there, I think that was the moment I had chills, because it became evident to me that our community did not recognize it, and we didn't know how to support him. You know, a lot of the symptoms that we saw were put into a box, right? And I think that's the stigma. And ever since then, for the past almost 10 years now, I have been relentlessly raising awareness, finding every platform like yours. Thank you for having me once again to have this conversation, to really encourage people to approach someone experiencing distress. And how do you approach that will determine whether that person will seek help or will shut you down.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because what are some of the signs or maybe symptoms that people overlook, that, because people know, you know, the I'm fine when someone's really not fine. I think that's like a common thing. But what are maybe the uncommon things that people don't really recognize, or it just goes over their head?
That's a loaded question, Nicole.
I'm hitting you hard, Aanchal.
No, because it's true. You know, I can tell you what's out on the internet, right?
Yeah, right. That's
these
what I
are the
mean.
symptoms. But when you live it and you pause and you think about it, you're like, oh my God, like, these are clear signs that something was not right. For example, social isolation. You know, you will read that everywhere when someone is socially isolated. It leads to poor mental health, withdrawal, da-da-da-da. But to witness a person like my twin, who is so outgoing, such an extrovert, to over the years choose to be alone. He found peace in being by himself. And he his behavior started changing in terms of he had a problem with alcohol.
Okay.
And it was something that, you know, as a twin, I'm a woman, he's a man. But in our society, it's like, you know, when a man drinks every day, it's considered, you know, it's okay. He's having a beer too.
It's casual.
It's casual. But if a woman's drinking every day, something is not right. You know, you're put into a box. And so at that time, when we, as a family, started noticing that Tushar was, you know, indulging more in substances, it was just like put under the rug, right? Even though we noticed that, hey, he's consuming a lot of alcohol every day, but still my parents never responded to it in the manner that we should have, because that itself indicates that this person's not okay.
Yeah, they're trying to numb something that's going on.
Right. So in the culture, it's just it's considered normal. So we treated it normally, whereas we should have treated like this is a symptom to something deeper, right? And some other things that I do want to shed some light on is he really stopped taking care of himself.
Okay.
Even though he went to work and he was the sharpest looking, you know, handsome man, but when he came home, he was unrecognizable. You know, like the apartment, his environment was a reflection of his mental health.
Interesting.
Like, even though he would go, for example, to get groceries, he would never make anything. He would never consume things. Whether it's a packaged good or a beverage, it would expire and stay in his fridge, you know, until I come to visit and I'm the one throwing things out. But it was just interesting to witness how the entire apartment and his environment was not clean, you know? And I think that too is a massive indicator that this person's silently struggling.
But something that can be so overlooked and just like, it's so easy to walk into that scenario and just be like, you're a mess. And like not think anything of it.
Yeah.
You know?
One other thing that I'd like to add from, you know, what I noticed was he was very short-tempered. He became very short-tempered over time. It's almost as if like you don't know what you're going to say that may upset him, and he's going to close off. So it was like walking on eggshells just because I don't want to upset you. You know, even if I ask you, what did you eat for breakfast? Like, if that question's triggering you, I think this is an indicator that something is not okay, you know? And as I look back now, I wish I could have responded differently, because now that I know these are like serious signs, I would say now that he was, you know, medium to high risk. And so I would have approached it differently. I wouldn't have taken some things that he said to me personally.
Of course,
you know,
of course.
You live and learn and you grow from it. And that's why today I'm very passionate about helping other people navigate them from where they are to where they want to be.
It's really tough. And I, you know, looking back, you can't help but like ask yourself, I know people who have taken their lives by suicide and died by suicide. And you go back and you ask yourself, what did I miss? And what I didn't see? And what I should have done, what I could have done. And it's really hard because, you know, again, without conversations like this, or if it's never happened in your life before, then you really don't know how to like approach someone to ask them, are you doing okay? What can I do to help you? You know, and I think especially with men, there's a different approach that often you have to ask that question, right?
Yeah. In mental health, so Reach Out Together, run a mental health non-for-profit, and one of the things we do is we teach people mental health first aid. How do you support someone that is experiencing a crisis situation or is just not feeling very good? But even before that, even before you actually approach and you go through the process, the first step often is prepping. You know, just like physical first aid, you don't just right away get into it. You observe and you express care. And that is a step that often we miss. in mental health first aid, what we teach is a LUR methodology. The first step is listen. But even before listening, like you said, asking those questions is expressing observation and it's expressing care. So saying things like, I have noticed, I noticed that something is not right. I have noticed that you're not doing okay or you're not feeling okay. And I'm really concerned. Because what this does is, for the other person, it actually makes them feel acknowledged. That, oh, someone is actually, this is explicit now. It's not just implicit within me, right? People are noticing. And just that sheer acknowledgement of pain actually lets their guards down. So I will always encourage people, the first step is connection, not correction. Take the time to build that connection.
I think it's challenging because most often when you can express concern to someone's initial response is to shut it down or say, I'm fine. Or so how do you either persist or move to another step to then let them know that like you're not giving up on them? Because I think that's a portion of it as well, is that most people just think like you're not cared for, right? And they're alone in this. And they fight to stay in that space because it's easier than being vulnerable and sharing how you're struggling, right?
Yeah. So once again, the first step I will always tell people before you even approach, with the step of first aid, it would be to build connection. And I've had a lot of people that, I've met through even different news channels that the host will reach out to me later when they're in a situation and be like, my sibling or my father or my brother isn't well. I'm really concerned. I'm really scared. What do I do? And I'd always ask them, what do they enjoy doing? Or what have they enjoyed doing in the past? Maybe it's playing golf. Maybe it's playing tennis. It's going for a walk or being in nature. And so I will always encourage people, before you even approach and ask those questions, try to build that connection with them.
Okay.
Truly, authentically, where they feel they're not alone in this, right? Like when you feel connection saves lives, we know that, right? There's a reason why we always discourage social isolation. So once you build that connection and they feel like they can trust you, I think that's when you approach and you express your observation.
Right.
I have noticed. I am concerned. I'm really worried about you. These questions do not plant a seed. They actually make someone feel comfortable. And from there, keep asking probing questions. Even questions like, on a scale of 1 to 10, brother, how do you feel? It's an open-ended question. It's not making them speak too much, because as you go through the process, eventually they will open up, right? If you do it the right way.
Right.
But in mental first aid, the first step technically is listen non-judgmentally.
Okay.
And I know
hard
it
to
sounds
do that.
simple.
No,
exactly.
That's not
it
simple
is
at
so
all.
hard.
Yeah.
Because we all have our own biases. We all think we know how to live and what's the best. But when someone is now sharing with you, if you say things like, I know what you're talking about. I've been through this before. Oh, you know what? I know someone that went through this last week. You have now made this person feel like what they're experiencing is normal. It's not unique to them, And so they chances are that they're now going to shut down. They are not going to be willing to listen to any resources you offer moving forward. They're most likely going to get defensive, because the first step of creating that safe space, there is no safe space, Yeah.
It's the judgment piece, as you said, is difficult because it obviously comes from a place of concern. So to like hold that back and just listen and be an active listener is a skill set. A lot of people it's a challenge.
Oh, Nicole, I really got to add to this if I can, because
please do.
Oh my God.
Please do.
Recently I was in a situation where a very like old university friend of mine. It's probably been 14 years since I've met this individual. He's not been doing very well. And so he reached out to me, but he knows I'm in this line of work. And for some reason, he may have felt a bit more comfortable to be more expressive.
Yeah.
But, I know the first step is listening non-judgmentally. But as he's sharing, there's a lot of aggression in his sharing, right?
Okay.
A lot of aggression. And because we have a personal relationship from 14 years ago, I didn't actually take that personally. Even though there was certain things said to me that was a direct attack, or so it felt like, I actually paused. I did not smile because that's going to trigger the other person.
Right.
You're not creating a safe space by doing that.
Right.
I actually decided to keep quiet and let them speak, which is very hard to do in real time.
It's in real time. In retrospect, it's always easy, but in real time, it's really hard.
It's reminding yourself in the moment that it's about this person. It is not about you. And that's one other thing that I've learned through this life, this experience, is every time Tushar behaved aggressively, he was angry, he was trying to express himself. But in our society, even anger is considered negative. It has a negative connotation to it, right? But anger is just another form of expression. I would actually allow that. I would allow you to be angry without me taking it personally. And that too, that's just pure growth over the years,
Yeah, most definitely. I think what one of the things that I love that you said is the men in our lives are not okay. How often do you have people like this individual like coming to you saying like, I'm not okay? Like, this is more common than we think.
Yes, it is way more common than we think. I run a mental health non-for-profit, so I'm, talking to people almost every day or dealing with cases through my team. But what is very interesting, Nicole, is there was a research study done by the Canadian Men's Health Foundation. And this research study was in partnership with Intentions Consulting Canada, where they surveyed 2,000 Canadian men over 19 years and older. And the findings were it was actually very scary. This survey was held last year. They do it every year in April.
Okay.
And what the survey revealed was 64% of men are experiencing moderate to high risk levels of stress.
Interesting.
67% of men reported never seeking professional mental health services.
See, that's not surprising.
Yeah.
That number, not surprising.
And the last finding was so concerning. 1 out of 2 men are at risk of social isolation. And this risk increases for men who live alone, racialized men, and younger men from age 19 to 29.
Wow.
So we truly are at a place today in Canada where our men are silently struggling, they're suffering, and they don't often seek professional help.
So let's unravel that a little bit more. Why do you think in society today do men feel like they have all this pressure? What are the societal kind of norms, quote unquote, that have, are not great norms that we have that have led that percentage to be so high?
That's a great question. This stereotype of what masculinity looks like, I think, is often the reason why there is stigma, and that prevents men from reaching out for help or even asking for help or expressing that something is not right. There's this this fear that if I express, I don't have what it takes or I'm not strong enough.
Interesting.
I used to be in sales, tech sales, like back in the day before like 10 years ago, I quit my job and I started my mental health nonprofit. But being in a sales environment surrounding by men who are, powerful, that's something that I actually noticed was a language within them, right? They were never allowed to take sick days. And if ever anyone took a sick day, they're like, you don't have what it takes. I've heard that. And I'm a woman,
Firsthand,
But that's just the norm and the culture. So it's a cultural thing. And unless we change, we learn how to not take it personally and create safe spaces, I think change starts with us, right? The way we approach the men in our life. And so if we are able to learn how to approach them and encourage outreach, I think that could definitely make a difference and normalize reaching out for help. Silently struggling is not strength.
No.
What is strength and what's powerful is when a man is, he knows how to emotionally regulate himself, right? He knows how to ask for help. A man that knows how to ask for help is, in my opinion, so strong and powerful, right?
Ditto.
Because you are setting an example for the men in your life, for younger men out there, young boys, for your friends, for your fathers. So like when men go out there and are advocating for better mental health, like reach out to me. We need more people like this.
Yeah, certainly. We really do. And I mean, I'm at the same age. I'm 35. So and it's so funny because as I feel like men get older, you see it more. When they're younger, you often make excuses for men who are like emotionally dysregulated. But as you get older, it's like, okay, at this point you should know better. And if you don't know better, it's because you haven't been taught or you haven't done the work to discover that or really be able to like unpack why you act the way that you act, you know?
Yeah.
It's when you I think what's an interesting perspective perhaps also that in your life is probably your dad seeing this also from like a male perspective and his son and trying to understand again. What was that experience like again, like in speaking to your dad even about this and where it kind of comes from and what kind of man he is? Because I'm sure this has been an education for him as well.
It continues to be. You
Yeah.
know? Nicole, I actually lost my older brother to malaria in Nigeria.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Thank you.
Goodness, your poor family.
It's been a journey, but we have continued to learn from it together and grow together. We may not have had the best of relationship growing up as a family, like, in terms of our upbringing, but over the years, by, setting boundaries and by educating ourselves and seeking help collectively, our relationship today is by far the best it's ever been. Mm-hmm. And of course, there's room for growth always. Healing is an everyday job. And so we're doing the best we can. For my parents, I'm the only surviving child right now.
Gosh, that's really hard. Are your parents here?
No, they're still in Nigeria.
Yeah. So that's even harder.
Yeah. But I show up. I don't do my best to visit them in Nigeria, have them come here. We try to go to, a new country every year just to feel good and reset.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think getting through this together has really helped. Rather than healing separately, we've healed together. Like the first thing I did, obviously I had to call my parents on FaceTime and to give them the news, right? And
Gosh,
then
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, that was a very tough moment, but are you interested in a story?
Yeah, always, of course.
Okay, so I wrote a book called Ongoing Success and Wellbeing.
Hold up the book, Aanchal,
thank
for
you.
for the visual people.
Woo-hoo!
There we go. Congratulations. It's amazing.
Thank you. The foreword for this book was written by Jack Canfield, who is the co-creator of Chicken Soup for the Soul books.
Which we love and I grew up with. So that's like a huge deal.
That is so cool. Look at that. What a small world.
That's like the biggest compliment you could ever get. Like, so that's massive. That's massive.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that. My older brother was an avid reader.
Ah.
So growing up, like our library in our house was full of Chicken Soup for the Soul books.
Wow.
And we would literally be in a closet hiding, and he would be teaching us lessons to help us cope with, challenges we were experiencing growing up. And it was wild because, I moved to Canada and I dragged my twin brother here because my older brother was about to come here to study. And that's when I took it upon myself. I'm like, Tushar, we're going to go to Toronto and we're going to make his dreams come true. We're going to live his life. And we did. We both came here. And what's interesting is in June, oh, wow, it's actually exactly 10 years this June.
Wow.
Around this time. We, as a family, went on a cruise. And I took a book with me. A friend gifted me a book. The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. It's a thick book, right? Yeah. So I'm like, Kathy, could you not have given me an easier book to travel with?
Right.
We're on the cruise. My twin's right there. I read the first few chapters and I'm hunting him down, right? And I'm like, Tushar, I think my life purpose is to motivate people.
Stop. Really?
Yeah. And he looked at me and within a microsecond, he was like, Anch, I think that's so on point. You have helped me all my life. And that's all he said. Aww. And it was wild because a month later, on July 12th, 2016, he ended up taking his life. But in that moment, when the police officers were at my door, there was an equation that I had read in that book that was playing in the back of my mind the entire time. Like the police officers are at my door and I'm having everything is in slow motion right now, right? Mm-hmm. I just grabbed sticky notes and they were telling me things I need to do because I had no idea. I don't have any other family here. And I just started writing things and sticking it. But this equation's playing in the back of my mind, which is event plus response equals outcome. It's like a mindset equation. Event is what is happening or what is happening. Outcome is how you are experiencing life right now, which is based on your response, how you choose to respond to the event.
Right.
Whether it was your fault or not. Take accountability. So in that moment, I'm having E plus R equals O. E plus R equals O. It's just running through the back of my mind. Yeah. And everything I started doing was a chosen response. Mm-hmm. Even the intent of calling my parents and informing them, asking them to catch the next flight here was intentionally done. I took 10 minutes in the closet. I just sat there holding myself, going back to my childhood. That's where my brother or my older brother would teach us lessons, It's like quiet spaces helps me regulate my own nervous system. It creates a safe space within me, so I'm able to respond better. A form of mindfulness, which I learned at a young age. So I went into the closet. I sat on the ground. I just held myself. Aww. And I'm event plus response equals outcome. How are you responding? Are you okay?
Yeah, okay.
This is going to determine my moment, my present, and my parents' present as well.
Yeah, that's a lot to carry.
It's a lifestyle, I would say.
Yeah.
Me carrying it is not sustainable, but me embodying it now, it's who I am. Mm-hmm. And so every time life has thrown curveballs at me or life doesn't go according to plan, life is up and down. We'll always have challenges. I will always ask myself, event plus response equals outcome.
And now I will too, and everybody else listening to this, honestly.
Thank you. There's a lot more in my book here. I have put everything that I've learned, in these last 30-something years into this book. So yeah, if you do read
it's a lot, and you've learned a lot of hard lessons too, which people don't learn in a lifetime. So in the moment that you had called your parents, what happened next?
My father could not.
That's not even the hardest part. It's the long aftermath of when you really digest everything. You've talked to everybody. You're going through the motions of how to continue.
Yeah. my dad could not believe that it was suicide. He was like, no, no, no. Did he get into a car accident? That's what I remember vaguely. Like, that was the first thing he said.
Yeah, of course.
Was it a car accident? Then I said, no, he took his life. And he's like, no, no, there has to be foul play. He's like, talk to the police. This is after they had taken a few moments, of responding. And then I asked them, please get on the next flight as soon as possible. And they did. And even when they came here, for the longest time, Nicole, they could not accept it.
For sure.
They're like, there's some sort of foul play here.
There was no like note, or do you remember like the last conversation that you had with your brother?
Yes.
What was that, if you are comfortable sharing?
For sure. Almost 10 years ago, I was going through a breakup, and my brother messaged me and asked me, how are you doing? And I was really upset at him because he had not responded to any of my messages, not picked up my phone calls. And even though he was aware that I was going through a tough time, he hadn't checked in on me. So receiving that one message after 10 days was very upsetting to me. We're twins. Like, there have been moments where I can feel his energy or what he's experiencing. Or a lot of times we would end up saying the same thing at the same time, even though we're fraternal twins, right?
Yeah, still.
And so seeing that message, how are you doing? I was very upset at him. And I responded saying, I will be okay no matter what. And that was it. He never responded to that. And I never heard from him again. And even that day when he ended up taking his life, he messaged a lot of people.
Oh, really?
He did. He messaged a lot of people. He sent messages to his friends, to my mom, but he never reached out to me.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
I think he was not connecting with me because every time we met in person, it's like I could see through his soul. And there were some instances, Nicole, where, after he had too much alcohol, he was visibly not okay, right? But again, when sometimes people drink alcohol, they are more aggressive. And we, again, were like, oh, they're just aggressive, right? That's how some people get when they drink. But in those moments too, when he was, intoxicated and he was really not okay, if ever his friends called me and asked me to come, and I would, he would immediately calm down. Looking at me would calm him down. Almost like he has to be okay and not truly express that anger. Like, I shouldn't know.
Right.
So I think he didn't reach out to me.
Wanted to protect you from knowing what was going on.
Yeah. And so, him not reaching out to me was, I think, his certainty that I'm going to do this, and that if I cannot reach out to her, because if I do, I won't go through it.
Right.
Yeah.
What were the sorts of messages that he was sending out? Because I think it's also, people might not think anything of it. Like, a message that I know someone had received from someone who committed suicide was, hey, brother, I just want to tell you I love you. You've been an awesome friend. And I hope all is well.
Yeah.
Random. But also someone may think like nothing of that. It's like, hey, brother, that's so nice. Like, thanks for the message.
Yeah.
Let's get together.
Yeah.
That would be a normal response to seeing a message like that.
Yeah. Yeah. But there are also other people that I have, who have trained with us, who have now learned that and have started questioning it. Like, that is really weird. That's a really weird message, buddy. Like, hey, are you doing okay? What's happening? Has something happened recently? On a scale of 1 to 10, how heavy life has been for you recently? And this is like an open-ended question.
Totally.
Because it doesn't make them go dig deeper. They're like, oh, on a scale of 1 to 10, I think it's a 7 right now. But if someone goes, I'm feeling a 10, that's high risk right there, right? That's when you ask more probing questions. And then you build safety by asking and listening non-judgmentally, not making it about you.
So this nonprofit, it's so interesting because like you almost planted the seed before all of this happened, and then it became, I guess, clear of the direction that you were meant to like go in. When did it come to you of like, I want to help people who are going through this, and I want to change the way that, you know, this even happens by educating people and, like you said, raising awareness?
It sort of started quite immediately. Like as soon as my twin brother had passed, I was in a way forced to leave the country because we were both on a work permit, and our work permit was expiring the same month that my brother passed away, which is July 2016. And so the company that I was working for was like, they still call me Chili till today. They're like, Chili, we're not letting you go anywhere. So they hired immigration lawyers and they worked so hard on my application. But my brother was working at a bank at that time. And even though they had promised to support his work permit, when the time came, they said they're not able to do so. And I think that's when things got even worse for him internally. There was no swimming. It was more sinking from that moment onward. He, in fact, called me around Canada Day, I think, and told me, he's like, you're a success, I'm a failure.
Oh.
And what was so upsetting, you know, after the fact is because even though I had a company that was willing to fight for me, my work permit did not work out.
There you go.
Yeah. What I was doing was very technical. And so the knock code wasn't in alignment with the salary and the duty. And it got rejected 3 times back to back.
Wow.
They were also applying for an LMIA, which is a document that says like, you know, you're important to Canadian economy. You could be an asset. Let's bypass all these immigration stages and just get you PR. That too got rejected. And in December, when that got rejected, that's when I was like, you know what? I think this is a sign from the universe. And so I quit my job and I left Canada, in a way forced to. But again, I took that in a very positive light. I put all my stuff in a storage.
Wow.
Everything in a storage.
You're like, I'm coming back.
I will, of course I'm coming. This is my home, right? But temporarily not. It was a systems issue. The way the system was set up, it made no sense because my twin and I bought a property together after we graduated.
Wow.
You know, we never had any criminal records. It makes no sense that we're stuck in this express entry pool waiting for us to get invited to apply for permanent residency, right? So it was just all of these different aspects. But when I left, I took, you know, I applied for a visitor's visa when I was first went and, you know, took care of my brother's cremains, and then went to San Francisco, applied for my Canadian visitor's visa. And that's when I started strategically planning, what am I going to do? What is this next decade of my life going to look like? And so it's just very fascinating that I'm here today with you. You know, it's been 10 years of this journey, and I'm so excited to uncover what the next decade is going to look like. Like, we have served so far, offering support services, outreach programs, connecting people to professional help and other resources. And it's been almost 10 years of doing this. And, you know, one thing that I can say is that all these resources, these support services are Band-Aid approaches. You know, we also work very closely with the homeless community, the unhoused community in downtown Toronto, Fort York, Spadina area. And I've been on the streets talking to homeless people. We give donation items and support them with like warm winter gear. I've been doing this for almost 10 years now. And I've learned so much. It's a systemic issue.
Yeah.
It's a systemic issue. I became homeless. Sorry. I was unhoused for an entire year myself after my my work permit situation didn't work out and I left.
Yeah.
I came back on a visitor's visa. I became mental health first aid certified right away in March, started hosting workshops, but I didn't have a home to live in. I
That's
owned a
wild.
property, but I couldn't live there. That's where my brother had passed. So I'd rented it out, but I wasn't able to secure a rental unit because I didn't have pay
Wow.
stubs.
Wow.
But I had amazing friends that were fighting to keep me. They were like, Ansh, you're going to stay with us. You're going to stay
Aw.
with us. And they're like, you don't have to leave. And, I really leaned into community then, For a person like me I can do everything. I'm like, I need the support.
Yeah.
I need the support. And so, I would stay at different friends' house every other month with all of my event equipment.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just going everywhere with everything you can think about. And we were hosting mental health educational workshops every single month. We, in fact, went to Calgary and we held an event for the seniors within the South Asian community. And we got the mayor, Mayor Nenshi, who gave us a shout out on Twitter because the impact was wild. It's not something I had ever expected.
Yeah.
And to see the response from people, people are men are crying, senior men are crying.
Yeah.
That kind of validated the path that I was about to take.
For sure.
And then after a year, I legally registered Reach Out Together.
Wow. That's incredible. I mean, I was crying. You had me crying today. So I can't even imagine, this.
I'm so sorry.
No,
I didn't mean
don't
to.
be sorry. Don't be sorry. It's just, you're a beautiful person. And, but also my heart aches for you and your family, but also in a very strange way, I feel like he's probably with you throughout all of this, he is also your strength or the wind beneath your wings, to this past decade and what you've been able to accomplish. What he couldn't say, he's helping you do now,
Oh my God, I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
It's true. I mean, I know we just sat down and we just met, but I feel like that's very much the case. So for you in this last decade of building your nonprofit, what is something you're most proud of that you didn't even have line of sight of that you could have achieved?
Oh my God, I love this question, Nicole.
Well, because you set out goals, obviously, when you start something, you have goals and you imagine this is where I want to go, this is what I want to do. But then there's the other ones that you don't even imagine in your head. And I find those are the most special ones that you don't expect,
Yeah. I think, one of them would definitely be having the opportunity to meet Jack Canfield, the person that my older brother was in love with him, to say the least.
Yeah.
And having met him and be mentored by him and eventually get the opportunity to co-author a book together to today where he has written the foreword for my book. I think this is a very wholesome moment for me
That
personally.
is full circle.
It's a full circle moment for sure. But when it comes to Reach Out Together Foundation and what we have done so far, I can tell you that we have worked with City of Markham's leadership team. We have worked with the Umbaka of the, I think it's the Umbaka of Uganda, the ambassador of the King of Uganda, helped them build a program during the pandemic and the lockdown. We've done numerous talks for, high school kids and during the pandemic and seen those messages, how many young kids were experiencing suicidal ideations. There have been so many instances. We have had people that have emailed us after World Reach Out Together Day. It's an initiative that I founded and we hosted every year on July 12th in honor of my late twin brother. Next month is our 10-year anniversary of running this. We've had people send us emails saying that they ripped their suicide note that they had drafted.
Wow.
To me,
goosebumps.
Thank you. That truly gave us goosebumps as a team, and it made us tear up collectively, all the volunteers. We're 100% volunteer run.
Wow.
100%. So everything we, donations we receive, any message of encouragement, it matters so much to our team. And we work so hard behind the scenes. Even though we're a Canadian registered nonprofit, we have volunteers from across the world.
Wow.
It's so beautiful to witness. But I would say, like, amongst the accomplishments, it would truly be us receiving these messages. We have had instances where in our live workshops, we've had people that I think were triggered, and it was evident that they're not okay. And so collectively, having to navigate that in real time because there are other people there, and having that conversation with them, practicing mental health first aid, and actually taking them, this individual, for example, to St. Michael's Hospital, getting them into ER. I was with them the entire time.
Wow.
The entire time. And, I was waited there until they got a bed because, it takes such a long time. They received medication, and I left and I came back after 3 hours. And then I just spent an hour there with them while they were feeling a lot better. But to be in that position to actually offer that support is very wholesome for me. And that will always be one of the greatest accomplishments of running Reach Out Together.
I just can't even, like, that in itself. You've saved probably so many lives. You've not only changed people, but you've probably saved many, many lives. So I commend you for the work that you do, because it's also not easy on you. It's also a lot to carry.
Oh, yeah.
Do you feel a great sense of responsibility?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. But also I feel like it's not for me to carry as much as it's for me to help add value. Everything that has happened has been lessons learned. And I truly believe that the universe is with me.
Yeah.
I believe it with all my heart.
The universe has your back.
Whatever we're going through, there is a reason for it. It doesn't feel like it in the moment, but trust the journey, trust the process. I may not fully till now understand why this happened with my twin, but I do believe that there's a higher purpose for it. And I'm going to continue to do everything in my capacity because that is my life purpose. And, this experience pushed me toward that. I was working in tech before, but this has completely opened my eyes and has pushed me in a direction that makes me feel so fulfilled in my life. I was doing very well financially working in that job that I was an entrepreneur. I had 2 of my own digital assets that I had built in that company, but it wasn't about the money. I was not deeply fulfilled. I would have continued to climb that corporate ladder only to realize towards the end that this ladder is leaning against the wrong wall, Aanchal.
Yeah.
So life in a way pushed me in a direction that feels a lot more fulfilling for me. Yes, there is grief. Not going to say otherwise. But there are tools and resources to continue to show up for yourself. And that's what I would love to leave people with. Take care of yourself. It's really hard to show up for other people and to sustain that.
Yeah.
If you are not well yourself. Event plus response equals outcome.
Key. I'm not good at math, but that's the kind of math that I can do for sure. For
Love
sure.
that.
So Aanchal, tell me what's next for you. I know we didn't even touch on this, and you're gonna have to come back, and we're gonna have to have another discussion. But you do a lot of wellness, well-being, also obviously mindset practices. You're a certified Muay Thai instructor, casual. This woman does everything. So that's a whole other conversation. I realize that. But what is next for you that people can look out? Where can they follow you, purchase your book, so on and so forth?
Love that question, Nicole. So I actually have something very exciting going on right now, and I'd love to share. I have decided to run for city councillor.
Yeah!
Thank you. For Ward 10, Spadina, Fort York area. It is the biggest ward of downtown Toronto, and that's where I currently live as well. And I figured that, I have been doing this for 10 years. I've been serving the homeless community as well. And I have come to realize like it is truly a systemic and a policy issue. And I want to now navigate it and move into that, like serve wider and support people in a different way, and what inspired that, if I may share very quickly, was I was recently stuck in Dubai in the war.
That's really scary.
Yeah. And I went there, I dragged my parents, I asked them to come from Nigeria on Valentine's Day. So we met there in Dubai, and the day we were supposed to head out, that day was the day of that the war officially started.
Oh man.
The airspace was shut. We were in different Airbnbs in the same building, but every day we're renewing our Airbnbs because there's no way to get out.
Right.
And sitting there, Nicole, the TV's turned on. I had to mute it because I'm getting alerts right on your phone, like emergency alerts.
Right.
I'm sitting on my couch watching TV. I like start bending down because the balcony is right behind me. The collisions are happening. The debris from these collisions are like hitting buildings.
Gosh.
You're getting alerts saying stay away from glass, go indoor, parking lots and all this. And so it became so serious. Like your nervous system is like, this is no joke.
That's fight or flight.
This is fight or flight or freeze.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In this moment, it was a true freezing response. But at the same time, internally, I'm like, I want to go home.
Yeah.
I got stuff to do. But Canada has a program, which is a Canadians Abroad program, where you register online declaring that you're in a war zone. I filled it out right away. But I didn't get much response or support.
Interesting.
What I absolutely loved was that you actually received an automated email right away, which was still to me like it was good to receive that, But at that time, I remember
an automated email response is not great though. Okay,
yeah,
but you're being
Nicole,
really kind.
No, but it's in that moment when you're living
I'd like
it.
a real human to respond to me saying, "Let's get you out of there. Here's the plan."
I know, I totally understand, but it was very helpful to actually find other Canadians that were there.
Yeah, okay.
So that I'm going to get to
Okay,
that. But even still, at least there's some response, Nicole, because, I've reached out to services before where you never received a response.
Yeah.
Like, is this working? Is this not? I don't know, right?
It's true.
But why am I going to be sharing these resources with people if there's no one actually doing the work?
Right.
So in this case, there's something happening, right? And so I realized that Australia was incredible. They actually got a flight out of Oman and got a bunch of Australians out like within 3 days.
Wow.
And in general, the way the government operated in a moment of crisis was so inspiring for me. Immediately I talked to my team, reach out together, and we created a program which is Canadians in War Zone Connections.
Wow.
To connect Canadians who are stuck in different environments, different locations, just so you have support and you're not alone in this. Because when I found someone that was visiting as well, that made the world of a difference.
Of course.
We were communicating every day, and so that's what we've been doing right now. That was an added program. We have no funding right now. It is 100% volunteer run. But it is still something that we saw a need for, and we immediately jumped on it.
Wow.
So yeah, as I'm sharing this with people, someone who works at City of Toronto told me, I really think you should run for office. And he took out his phone and started going through the timeline. He's like, this seems like it's the perfect time. Elections are coming up October 26th. He's like, nominations start in May. He's like, You should go for it. And I said, let's do it.
Wild. Well, yeah, anything you seemingly can see a problem and then install something to fix it, or at least like work to give people the resources and tools and support to attempt it or to work towards fixing a problem. Yeah. And that's exactly what the city needs. So I am excited for you in this journey. I'm not a part of that ward, but I am supporting you, and I think you would be a fabulous counselor in addition to, changing the way that the city operates.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. We just met, so
No.
your words are very encouraging.
I've read a lot of things. I'm a little creepy and I know more than you think. So
Love that.
but it's true. I'm cheering you on sincerely. So when you win, then you can come back. We can talk about the whole journey alongside you giving us tips for self-defense and whatnot.
That is a different topic altogether.
It is.
It would be an honor.
Amazing. Please plug yourself, Aanchal, so people know where they can follow, find you, and support you along your journey.
Thank you. You can always visit my website, aanchalvash.com, or you can follow me on social media at Aanchal Vash. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in, for sharing your story, for sharing your knowledge. And I really, really appreciate it. It was awesome talking to you today.
It was such an honor. Thank you, Nicole.